Good evening, welcome to another edition of the Gersnet Podcast, the independent Rangers podcast, by fans for fans, where all the content is absolutely free, coming to you in association with Forrest Precision Engineering. I'm your host tonight, Ryan Archer, and as always, we'd encourage you to get onto the Gersnet website and check out our forums for all your latest Rangers news and discussions. We're live tonight on the YouTube channel, and we'd ask that you continue to share the pod on social media, spread the word, and please subscribe to the YouTube channel. Before I introduce my guests for tonight, I need to give another mention to our partners over at Forrest Precision Engineering. They're a Glasgow-based engineering company who've been a big commercial supporter of Rangers for a number of years, and we're delighted to have them supporting the pod. If you want more information about them, please visit their website at www.forestprecisioneng.com. They also have a stunning executive lounge in the Ibrox main stand, and for more information on that, email the Club of Hospitality at rangers.co.uk. Right, now to bring in my guests for tonight. Firstly is Grant Mackay. Grant, how you doing?
Yep, I'm good, Brian. Good. I'm glad we got a win at the weekend. This is the first time that I've been on with you and we've won. So, change. We can talk about something positive tonight for a change.
Yeah, it makes a nice change. Always brightens up the weekend. Also joining us, making his Gersnet debut, is Alan Rogers. Alan, how's things?
Yeah, very well, very well. I was kind of dreading being asked to come onto this, having to sit and talk about a penalty shootout that we screwed up. So delighted with the 2-0, and it's hopefully a wee bit cheerier than it has been of late.
Yeah, it did look a bit like it was heading that way at one stage, but thankfully we managed to get the job done. First thing we'll touch on with yourself, Grant, is the starting lineup for the match. I think the big news coming out of the starting lineup was Danilo getting his first start. Now, I'll be honest, I was surprised because given that he hadn't been fit enough to play a single minute of competitive action so far, he was kind of thrown in to start. Did that surprise you at all?
Yeah, it did surprise me. When I looked at the team when it came out, my first thought was actually it was a very attacking team. It looked like we had a bit more freedom in the middle of the park to get forward. We've been having Diomande and Barron been sitting the last couple of games, but he gave Sterling a shift and Dow as well. So Dow's obviously a more attack-minded player than Barron is. So, but yeah, go back to your question. Yeah, I was very surprised to see Danilo. You know, has been a lot talked about in the last couple of days with the way he walked and stuff like that, and was he injured and all sorts. So yeah, I was surprised to see him, but I was quite happy to see him. He's, as you said, he's not had many minutes. I think he only played 45 against Birmingham pre-season, and he looked miles off it, to be honest, at that point. So it was good to see him. I thought he maybe came on if we were a couple of goals ahead yesterday, but I was delighted to see him back in, and he actually put in a decent shift. To be fair, he was getting himself in good positions. A couple of times Matondo could have cut it back to him. It was just cut out, but he did have a couple of chances. I'm sure we'll come on to talk about him later on, but he had a couple of chances, half chances. But yeah, it was good to see him back. Hopefully, that'll be him now getting more minutes and can take the pressure off Dessers a bit, having to play 90 minutes every 3 days.
Yeah, it was definitely good to see him back. Alan, another position for me that was kind of up for grabs was left back with Bidvan being injured. He chose to go for Yefty at left back. I was kind of surprised because I thought he might have went for Robbie Fraser, given that Yefty had looked a bit suspect in pre-season at left back, and Robbie Fraser was given the new contract fairly recently. For you, was Yefty the obvious choice, or were you kind of surprised not to see him give Robbie Fraser his chance?
I was just worried he might play Ben Davies at left back, to be honest. So I was delighted when Hefty turned up. No, I mean, I think we signed him for left back, so let's play him at left back. I think he's been effective further forward. We've seen what he can bring, but if his experience is at left back, that's what we signed him for, presumably as a backup to Ridvan. Then I thought that was the correct choice, to be honest. I think with Hefty, you've got to look at it. He's a 20-year-old Brazilian that's had a year of professional football in Cyprus. And to me, that's what he looks like. He looks raw, but at the same time, you can see, I think, the qualities he's got that might turn out to be valuable. Like all modern fullbacks, his best attributes are going forward. And I think we saw that a lot yesterday. He's quite exciting in the attacking areas. But yeah, defensively, we saw pre-season that he can be a wee bit ropey, but I mean, that's pre-season, so I think we just write that off and give him a chance in the competitive game. So to answer your question, I was delighted to see Hefty in, even though he was further forward. most of the match. But I think it's correct that the manager needs to show a bit of faith in him, especially given it looks like Ridvan's out for 3, 4, 5, 6 weeks, or whatever it is.
Yeah, it was an interesting one, that left back position, but it was good to see Yefty have a kind of solid game, and he definitely looks like he could be a good stand-in for Ridvan there while he's injured.
And just on that, I think he was actually probably one of our better players yesterday. I thought he was excellent, getting up and down. He looked really dangerous, putting some cracking balls in as well. And I think for me, he was man of the match. I thought he was excellent yesterday, and I think he's been actually pretty good the last few games he's played as well. And we can use him further forward as well as another option, and he's been decent there as well. So I think he's been a decent signing. Did you notice yesterday that him and Tavernier were inverted at times as well? They're kind of playing a different role. They were coming in the middle and taking passes as well as that extra man in the middle of the park. So maybe that's something to look at going forward. It's just another option.
Yeah, that does seem to be a kind of system that the manager likes, is the inverted fullbacks. We've seen it last season, particularly with Ridvan on the left-hand side, and it was noticeable when Ridvan went out and Borna came in. Borna wasn't quite capable of doing that role, and that seemed to really hamper us. The kind of drop-off in form almost coincided with Ridvan coming out of the team last season, kind of March time. And it was interesting that seems to be a system that the manager prevails, is those inverted fullbacks. So it's interesting to see if he kind of sticks with that. Grant, around the first half, I thought we played some pretty decent stuff in the build-up. I thought, as you said, Matondo got himself into some good positions, one-on-one with his fullback. But it's just that final pass or final decision at times that's still kind of poor at times, to be honest. Do you think this is what Clement was referring to when he said, you maybe not see the best of this team until October, November? Is there still an understanding that needs to build up, particularly in the attacking phases?
Yeah, well, going back to the first half, I thought we did well in the first half. I sat and watched it yesterday, and I went back to look at it this morning again, just the highlights, and we actually had so many chances in the first half. I didn't realise how many chances we actually had. We had Cherny, Danilo, Jeffy, Tavernier, Matondo he could have had a hat-trick the first 30 minutes. So I think we actually did play some good stuff. I thought Matondo was very dangerous down the left-hand side. And, he was doing the things that we've been asking him to do. Go and take his man on. He's get pace to burn. He was knocking it by the void, and he was roasting him. But as you said, yeah, his final ball a couple of times was poor, and his finishing was even worse. But he's getting himself into the positions, and as I said, he could have set Danilo up for a couple as well. So I was actually quite impressed with the first half. We played well. But yeah, the team are still getting to know each other. There's still guys playing out of position and people getting injured week in, week out, and chopping and changing the side. So it's going to take time for these guys to gel. And I still don't think Clement knows what his preferred 11 is yet. His first choice 11. I know we've lost Ridvan. We lost Cortez at the start of the season as well. So he's had to put guys in, makeshift guys. I mean, Scott Wright's played left wing, right wing. So it's still a work in progress, and it's still start of the season. We're still trying to find our fitness, our main fitness. So yeah, I think he's right. It will come further down the line, October, November, when you're playing 3 times a week. It's going to be Sunday, Thursday, and that's when you don't train as much, but you're getting fitter and you're getting to know your teammates a lot better. So yeah, I think he was right in saying that, because we haven't been great the last few weeks, but I thought yesterday was an improvement, especially the first half with the amount of chances we created. But we've been saying that for a couple of seasons, but it always seems to be that their goalkeeper's the best man in the park, isn't it?
Yeah.
But no, I was impressed overall.
I thought we used Matondo quite well yesterday. Quite a few long balls over the back, trying to actually utilise his pace. Because too often, I think with Matondo, he tends to get the ball, he lifts his head, and he's got 10 defenders in front of him, and that's just not his game. Whereas I thought yesterday, when we won the ball in the defensive areas, we instantly looked for him. We're putting balls over the top, trying to actually think, right, this guy's fast, let's actually play this way to try and get him into the game. And okay, I mean, as Grant says, some of his attacking play was good, and then final ball, not so good. Right, okay, that's just what we know we're going to get from him. But at least I thought it was an improvement just in terms of a little bit of thought going into our play, a little bit of this is what we need to try and do when we win the ball back. And I thought he was relatively good at it. But of course, if he's not producing in the final third, then that's still an issue. But at least it got us up the park. And I think that took a lot of pressure off the defence.
Yeah, I thought it was a good outball for us, and I thought it was noticeable, as you say, that we seem to be trying to get him one-on-one with his man more than we have previously, rather than giving him the ball when he's got two or three men around him. So maybe it's something we've been working on in training. Um, Alan Grant mentioned there around Danilo and a couple of chances that he had. Now, he got himself into some good positions at the time, but his final shot was lacking. Is this just a player that is clearly short in match sharpness, or do you have any concerns over his finishing ability overall? Because he did, when he was fit last season, there was times when he was kind of missing chances you would expect him to score as well.
Yeah. I mean, when did he get injured? What, December last year, was it? So it's 8 months, say, since he's not kicked a competitive ball. So he's going to be rusty. He's going to come in and look a bit off it. I thought he did okay. I think with Danilo is his movement's good. You can see he's always all around. He's finding wee pockets. But as you say, his finishing just needs a wee bit. I think you can excuse him for yesterday. He's just back and he's not going to have that sharpness. But if he's going to be the man that we rely on at the top end, he is going to have to sharpen up his finishing. There's no question about that. I mean, the reality is, if you're spending, 5 or 6 million, whatever, maybe 5 million sterling on a striker to play in Scotland, he needs to look a cut above. He needs to be a difference maker. He needs to be the guy that you're relying on to actually win your games more or less single-handed. And we've kind of not really seen that from Danilo. We've seen good pockets of play. We've seen good finishes here and there. But we've never really seen him sort of dominate a game, and just be the man of the match and that kind of 10 out of 10 performance. But is he capable of it? I think he probably is. He needs to get time and he'll need to get minutes in his legs. But, his first 45 minutes in 8 months, first compared to 45 minutes in 8 months, I thought he did all right.
Yeah. Grant, the truth is with Danilo is we still don't really know the type of player we've got in our hands here, because he's just missed so much football. It's not even just the big injury that he got kind of around Christmas time or the start of the year. It's also the injury when he injured his face, that kept him out for a number of weeks as well. He's missed a lot of football in the last season, not just with that one lengthy injury, but even before that, he was picking up niggles and he had the injury where he had to wear the face mask. So we still don't know the type of striker that he is, really, do we?
No, that's it, exactly. We've not really seen enough of him, and the jury is definitely still out. But as Alan said, if you're bringing in a guy from Dutch football, it's worth 5-6 million quid. I actually watched a couple of his pre-season games last year, and he scored maybe 3 or 4 goals in the games, and he looked sharp, he looked lively. But yeah, he's not really had a fair crack at the whip. As you said, he's been in and out of the team. He's suffered some horrific injuries. Even when he got the crack to the face, he's still got to play with a mask, and it's not ideal. It's difficult to do, and it's uncomfortable, obviously. So I don't think he's had a fair crack of the whip. So I'm hoping that this is the season he can kick on. He's had his kind of pre-season. He's starting to get minutes now. So hopefully next 2, 3, 4 weeks he's ready to start and give us 90 minutes, because we're going to need him.
Yeah, definitely. We definitely need another option up front with to kind of give Dessers a bit of a break when he's needing a rest, kind of thing. And in the second half, it was a nice goal by Dessers, kind of on the hour mark, Alan, and it reminded me a bit of his finish away to Betis from last season when he does that chop inside in the box and just slots it away. Now, there was a bit of controversy around this goal and VAR and the referee. Now, the St Johnstone players appear to stop because they think the ref's given a foul. He looks as if he's made a motion to whistle for a foul before Dessers puts it away, but he doesn't actually whistle until the ball's hit the back of the net, and then they review it on VAR. And to me, they get to the correct decision and that it wasn't a foul and the goal was given. Is this an example of a good use of VAR and that he allowed the play to continue, and Dessers went on and scored, and then they reviewed it and came to the correct decision? Or are St Johnstone right to be unhappy because of the fact that he made the motion as if he was going to give the foul before Dessers finished? Or is it a case of the correct decision was reached, but the process to get there wasn't the best?
Well, I mean, to be honest, the St Johnstone defenders only get themselves to blame. Imagine Rangers had conceded that goal, and then the defenders come out and say, "Oh, we looked at the ref and we thought he was motioning, so we stopped playing." You'd be raging at them, saying, "What are you doing?" You play to the whistle, and this whole kind of, we thought the ref motioned. What a load of nonsense. You keep playing, and the ref did the right thing, let the play develop, see how it goes, and then give yourself time to look at VAR if you think you need to. Because it was never a foul, it was never offside. It's a perfectly legitimate goal. I've absolutely no idea what St Johnstone are moaning about. That's what VAR should be used for. You let the play develop and see how it goes, and if there's a legitimate issue, you get it in your earpiece to say, go and have a look at it. And that's how it should. I mean, the one issue is, I was sitting in the stadium yesterday. I don't know exactly how long it was, but it felt like about 5 minutes before the ref even went to the monitor. He was just standing there, and the players were just standing there looking at him. That's too long. So in terms of being an effective use of VAR, that's fine, but they need to speed up the process. And again, it really, sorry, Grant, it really frustrates me, this thing, because VAR was brought in, and the whole issue was, we're not going to use it to re-referee games. So I have a massive bugbear that when a referee sees something in a game and lets it go, a goal is then scored, and then he gets it in his earpiece, go and have a look at that. The ref looks at it and changes his mind. We had it last season in the 3-3 game with Desser's equaliser. The ref sees it and lets it go, and 15 seconds later Rangers score. So in that circumstance, I don't think the ref should be allowed to go back and change his mind because he's seen it. If it's something the ref couldn't or didn't see, fair enough, VAR can flag it to him. But see, if a ref sees it at full time and lets it go, don't re-referee that. And that's where I have an issue with it. And that's gone against us in the past. Remember Morelos opening the scoring at Parkhead, and it was Kevin Clancy that disallowed the goal. And then he had it and he's touched his ear, but he didn't even look at VAR because he was like, no, I saw it and it was a foul. Now, if he'd looked at VAR, I'm pretty sure that goal would have been given. But if he's just going to stick to his guns and say, well, I saw it, so play on, I think that's probably the right way to do it, even if it works against you. So I think in that circumstance, the ref saw it, let it go, and didn't really need to go to the monitor. But if he goes to the monitor, make sure the decision's correct, okay, fine. But we need to speed up the process. And as for the St Johnstone players, stop defending because they thought the ref was moving to blow. Well, that's on them. It's nothing to do with us.
Yeah, just on that, Brian, like the referee's made an arse of it, let's be honest. When he's motioned, he's caused the controversy. He's caused it. He doesn't blow the whistle, as Alan said. Play the whistle. You're taught that at primary school. He causes the commotion. So, I was actually glad he let it go because how many times have you seen strikers running through it, defender just goes down and they give a free kick straight away when they don't even know what's happened. They just guessed more often than not. But I am glad they let it go. It was good from Dessers, good skill cut inside and a good finish. It's funny how only in Scotland can it be controversy from getting a correct decision. What a shambles.
Yeah. Only in Scotland and only when Rangers are involved, it seems.
Exactly.
Now, Brent, one negative to come from the game, possibly the only negative, was the injury to Robin Proper. Now, Clement seemed to be hopeful in his post-match press conference that it's nothing too serious and he should be okay for the next game. But what have you made of our new defender so far?
Yeah, again, I've not really seen enough of him. It's been a pretty decent start, to be fair. We've known that our defence has been shaky for a good number of years now, hasn't it? And yeah, if you're getting a captain from the Dutch League, FC20, then he's obviously a decent player. The problem is, again, it's the back four is chopping and changing again. It's not a solid back. It's not the same back four every week. We lost Balogun a couple of weeks ago. We've now lost Ridvan, so it's chopping and changing. So he's not getting time to have the same partner. I think he's actually switched from left centre back to right centre back as well a couple of times, and he's not really settled yet. But yeah, he's obviously a decent player. I still think we need another centre back to partner him though, because I just do not think, as Alan mentioned earlier on, Ben Davies just gives me the fear, and John Suter as well. Again, he's an okay player, but I don't think he's good enough to play in there. So I would like to see another centre back come in to partner proper. I know that's not easy because we obviously need to get guys off the wage bill, Ben Davies included, to try and get somebody else in. So yeah, I think it's been a decent start for him. I'd like somebody to come in and partner him. Is he an upgrade in Goldson? The jury's still out.
Yeah. Alan, are these mountain injuries a concern for you? That's now Cortez, Raskin, Ridvan, and now Proper. Hopefully Proper's not too long, but we know the others are out for at least a couple more weeks. Clement made a big thing about injuries last season and how many we were getting. And on the face of it, it doesn't seem, I know we've only got a small sample size in terms of we're only a couple of weeks into the season, but it's still a concern, is it not?
Yeah, I mean, I would say Raskin was on. I mean, he was done by a really bad tackle on a friendly, so that that can happen. So fine, but yeah, I mean, I think the Cortez one was a real concern because he was injured just before half time, and then he came out, and then the first time he tried to sprint, he was on the deck, and then he was in tears coming off. I mean, it just seems that somehow, for whatever reason, we don't seem to manage injuries that well. And then again, it's that sort of Ridvan sort of taking a shot, and then he just seems to tear himself. He's on the deck and stretchered off, and it's these kind of muscular injuries that I think you can look at and say, right, well, what's the regime? What's the sports science behind it? What's the warm-ups like? All this kind of stuff. Because this early in the season, the players shouldn't be under too much physical stress. So to have these wee niggles sort of coming in during matches, I mean, it is frustrating. Plus, we've got, Scott Wright apparently has got a minor problem. I mean, Balogun's got a minor problem. Sterling missed a couple of games with a minor problem. It's just these wee things, and it's just because of the experience we've had in recent seasons with injuries, you're paranoid about them. So you see, even when it is just a wee minor thing, you think, oh God, right, here we go, that'll be 6 weeks. And we kind of need to prove, I think, to the support that we've got on top of this and get players back and fit. And again, what's that? That's 3 players now we've had taken off during games injured. And it's a worry. We need to nip it in the bud. Now, it might improve from here as training goes on and everything else. We might be worrying about nothing. But, I mean, it's definitely a concern. And as you say, the manager made a big deal of getting on top of it. He did say in pressers, I know what's causing it. We're getting on top of it. We'll do this. And it doesn't seem to have resolved as yet. So we need to stay on top of it because we've got big games coming up. And the squad's thin enough as it is. And if you start taking players out through injury, then it's, it might get really, really tricky.
Yeah, it's definitely still an area of concern for me. Now, Grant, one of the players I want to come on and talk about is James Tavernier. Now, I don't want to turn this into a tab bashing, and I know our fellow podcaster Scott Bradley will curse me for even daring to question the great man, but I thought it was poor again today. He gets beat on a couple of occasions on the right hand side. His man just goes past him far too easily, and it's noticeable that his contributions to the attacking play are noticeably decreased from previous years. With Tav, are we in danger of romanticising the player that he was and the player that he has been for us, but not really recognising what he is now, and perhaps all those minutes are starting to catch up with him? Or do we need to cut him a bit of slack because he was injured during pre-season, so maybe he's not quite the full fitness yet?
Yeah, it's probably a combination of all the things you said there, Brian. He, as you said, he hasn't been great. Tail end of last season, actually, and this season. But yeah, he didn't really have much for pre-season. He was basically forced into the team because Sterling wasn't fit or available. So he was basically thrown in half fit. But yeah, he's not been great. Same as you, he gets caught time and time again. And I think it was the second game against Kiev. I don't know how many times. My cousin didn't help him, mind you enough, but he got caught 3 or 4 times down that side. And it felt as if they were targeting him at one point because they kept coming down there and the boy was going past them for fun. So I don't know if it's age catching up, is it injuries catching up, is it the amount of games he's played, is it lack of pre-season, is it a combination of all of them? Has he been told not to go further forward because he's not getting the numbers that we saw, the brilliant numbers we saw last year from goals and assists? He's been playing inverted the last couple of games. Is his role changing now? Is his role changing? We've got a proper right winger now in Cherney. So is it onus on him not as much to go forward anymore? I don't know. It might be a combination of them all, but I don't know. I feel like he's lost a yard, and I would have personally moved him on if he could have in the summer. But the money obviously wasn't right for us at the time. But yeah, he's been shoehorned in just now because we literally don't have anybody else. But I agree with you. I think he's declined.
Where do you stand on Tav Allen? Is he a player in decline, or are we writing him off too early and he's capable of reaching those levels again?
Well, I think as Grant says, it's a combination of all these things. He'll be 33 in a couple of months, so he's definitely on the decline because that happens to everyone. He's definitely lost a yard or two because, again, that happens to every player. A successful season for Rangers is playing, 55, 60 games. And for Tav, since he joined in, 2015, was it? He's played an extraordinary number of games for us. He never gets a rest. Even now, he's still back in the team straight away. That's going to catch up with any player, and it's definitely caught up with him. What I will say is, I do think a lot of the criticism is exacerbated. I think there's a bit of a kind of flow of criticism towards him, and that kind of, Maida's faster than him. Yeah, he is. That's football. That's how it works. If you've got a fast winger up against a defender, he's going to get by him. Spoiler alert, in a couple of weeks' time at Parkhead, Maida's probably going to get past Tav once or twice, because that's how it works. And it's a challenge for the team to set us up in such a way that we can cope with that. And it was the cup final, actually. I think Maida skipped past Tav within the first 2-3 minutes, and a load of the crowd round me, oh, here we go. But after that, Maida didn't kick a ball. You can adjust and you can just drop back a wee bit. He defended him really well at that point. So although I do think he's in the decline, I do think we should have another right back coming in to challenge him and eventually take over from him. I also think it's over-egged. It's SPFL football we're playing here. He's still good enough for me to be in the team, but he's not still good enough to play 55, 60 games a season. That's not fair on him apart from anything else. And it's a failure of the club that we don't have someone in challenging him that can do what he does. Because you can put Sterling there, that's fine. But Sterling gave an interview when he joined the club, said, look, I'm not Tab, I just defend. That's what I do. So to try and think you can put Sterling in, he'll do the same role, it's just wrong. If you want to play with attacking fullbacks, you need to sign an attacking right back to replace him. And right now we don't have that. So, I think we can adjust his role slightly. As you say, towards the end of the game yesterday, he was playing more inverted. You could see him in the middle. He was in space. He was actually picking up balls. A couple of good link up with Czerny. But if you're going to exploit him out in the right and just put him up against wingers that are X number of years younger than him, then it's going to be a consistent problem. But that's on the manager. The manager needs to solve that. Again, we used to have Sima in front of Tav in a couple of games, and that helped him out a lot. We used to have Ryan Jack in front of him that would drop in. That helped him out a lot. So, can we replicate that with another player perhaps? If we're going to keep him in the team, we need to set up the team around him to take account of that. And if we don't, he's just going to keep getting roasted down the sides, and the fans are going to keep going mental, and it will tarnish his legacy about, which isn't really fair because he's contributed a lot.
But just to add on that, the criticism is way over the top for Tavernier. It's ridiculous, and fans have got scar tissue with Tavernier because he's been part of so many squads over the last, Alan said, 9 years that have not won enough. And he just gets to blame forever. And you see some of the abuse on social media. It's too much. I know he's on the decline, but he's been a great servant for Rangers, and he's still got something to offer. But it's ridiculous, some of the criticism he gets, and people just blame him now for everything. He's no captain material, this and that. It's just way over the top.
Yeah, at the end of the day, if we're going to play with attacking fullbacks, we probably do need to replace Tab because his legs are gone. We used to have great fullbacks in the back. We had Newman on the left. You'd have Tony Vidmar on the right, screaming down, curling one in against St Johnstone and all this kind of stuff. We used to have fullbacks that had that threat, but they weren't the key threat in the team. They weren't the guy we rely on. And for too many seasons now, it's a kind of right, it's 0-0 at 7 minutes. What are we going to do? Give it to Tav, he'll do something. And in credit to him, a lot of the times he has bailed us out. But again, time waits for no man, as they say. And it's time to just think about where the responsibility lies in the team,
Yeah, I think that's been the big failure at the club is because of poor recruitment in other areas, we've had to rely on Tav time and time again to come up with the big goals and the big assists. And one of the areas that still concerns me is that we still looked, even yesterday, a bit suspect at the back. There was St Johnstone created quite a few good opportunities. At times they hit the post in the first half as well. Is this still an area that needs work for you? Are we just too easy to play against at the minute?
It definitely needs work. It definitely needs work. As Grant said earlier on, chopping and changing the defence doesn't help. I've always maintained, my view has always been goalkeeper and your two centre-halves are the guys that, if they're fit, need to play every week. You don't rotate them. We saw that when we won 55, with McGregor, Goldson and Hollander the vast majority of the time, Balogun occasionally. And, they broke our defensive record. That's because we had that consistency. Whereas at the moment, we get Proper coming in, Davies coming in, Suter coming in. It just needs to settle down. It needs to settle down and give them a chance to develop a partnership. The problem being, of course, we don't get time at Rangers. They basically need to learn how to play with each other now. And that's going to be the issue. I do think there's still a problem with the setup. I think you can see the centre halves on the ball. They look forward, where are their midfield options? And they tend to be sort of behind the opposition midfield, and they kind of sort of push it out wide, or they try and go long, or whatever it may be. That results in Conor Barron coming back, sort of dropping into between the centre halves and picking the ball, the way Lundstrom used to do. And Lundstrom got a lot of stick for that, saying, what are you doing? But it's clearly a manager's instruction, because Barron's doing it now. And I just think we need to be a bit bolder with the centre halves, push forward a bit more, and actually get involved in the midfield. I think yesterday, it helped that we didn't have, well, I'm going to say we didn't have Lawrence. I think it helped that we didn't have a number 10 on the pitch, because we just had Diamande, who was more inclined to drop a bit deeper. I know he was playing a bit more advanced to the 3, but he was more inclined to drop a bit deeper. So there was extra options for the midfield. Because if the opposition's played 3 or 4 in the middle, and you're only giving the centre halves 2 options, I mean, that's only going to end one way, So for the defence, I think there are definitely issues for it. Proper, we've got to hope will calm us down a bit if he's fit. But they just need to learn. They just need to develop an understanding, and we need to decide who our centre halves are going to be and stick with them. I thought last season when Clement came in, it was Goldson and Balogun, and our defence was actually good, and we relied on that defence until Balogun got sent off at Parkhead, and we had to reshuffle it. And after that, it just became a mishmash. And then Goldson got injured, and then you're throwing players in, and Davies coming in, and it just all fell apart from there. I'm convinced because the defence fell apart, the whole team's affected if the defence is weak. So, whatever Clement's idea is, whether it's going to be Proper and Suter or whoever, or whether he's going to bring someone in the next 2 weeks, he needs to say, look, that's my centre-half pairing. If they're fit, they'll play, and I'm going to give them as many minutes as I can to develop an understanding. And I think that's the way to go. But who those 2 are going to be, I've absolutely no clue. Because I agree with Grant, we need another centre-half. We definitely need another centre-half. And another centre-half of, if he's fit, he plays. It needs to be a 2, 3, 4 million pound signing where we know he's first choice. It doesn't look like NCL is going to play anytime soon. So, let's get someone else in to just shore it up.
But just on the defence as well, just to add to Clement was asked about Red Van Der out injured and are you going to go into the market, and he said no, we've got guys for fullback. But today we've been linked with a creation boy, is it Baradich or something like that from sorry, I don't know how to say it, but it's came from credible sources over there as well. So is that something that maybe we're looking at as well in our left back? And it's just strange that we're after him saying that we've got Robbie Fraser and Jeffrey that we're looking at a left back.
Yeah, I mean, we don't know what's happened in the background. I mean, we could have had deals that we thought might go over the line, or maybe if we got through the Champions League or even through the playoff round and banked a few million, maybe we had someone there that we're going to bring in. But at the moment, it's that kind of, I mean, last season, Clement came in and Ben Davies was basically playing the Dan Egan role. You know what I mean? He just wasn't involved at all. Then we got some injuries, and suddenly he's first choice in the team and playing big games. So we just need to settle down and decide what we're going to do. I know that again, transfer window, you don't know how it's going to end up, but he needs to make it. Clement needs to make a decision and stick with it.
Yeah, for me, I think there's other areas in the team that need strengthened far more than left back. To be honest, I'm surprised we've been linked to another left back. To be honest, Grant, it was a nice goal by McCausland to seal the victory in added time. Now, a lot of people maybe don't think that McCausland's quite at the level that we need consistently to kind of be, title challengers and winning leagues and cups and things like that. But he's more than a useful option, is he not? In terms of coming off the bench, he's got pace. He can, he has scored a couple of goals now. He's not as bad, I think, as some people make him out to be.
Yeah, probably another one that probably gets a bit over the top criticism as well. He is still a young boy. He only came through last year. I mean, the problem is his numbers aren't great. That's probably, he needs to add numbers to his game. Yesterday was a great finish, great chip over the keeper, and he was unlucky as well against Kiev when he cut inside and hit the post with his left foot as well. But yeah, I think you hit the nail on the head. He is a decent squad player. I wouldn't be starting him every week, but I think having maybe Cherny there as well might help him out a bit. Watch how he plays, because he looks a cracking player coming from that side, so he'll be able to learn some stuff off him. But yeah, he's a decent all-round squad player, but he needs to add numbers to his game if he's going to try and get be a regular starter on the Rangers team.
Yeah, Alan, for me, he kind of reminds me a bit of Greg Wild, and not in the way he plays anything, but in the sense that Greg Wild was never a world-beating winger or anything, but he won league titles with Rangers because he played in a team with Steve Davis, Stephen Naismith, Lee McCulloch, Nikita Jelavic, Kenny Miller, serial winners that knew how to win leagues and knew how to go over the line. I think McCausland's one of those players that in a better team and in a team that's playing better and with more confidence, that would kind of bring his game on and there wouldn't be so much focus on what he's not doing, as it were.
Yeah, 100%. McCausland's a perfect squad player. He's homegrown, he ticks the boxes, he's a Rangers fan, he's going to give it his all. But he's got decent ability on the ball. He really does. There were games last season after he came in where everyone was really excited about him, because he had that kind of youth on his side. He was kind of playing almost with no fear. He started games at Parkhead and he looked a threat at times, in the counter-attack. So we can't expect the world from him at his age. We've got to give him time to develop. And if he's going to play mostly from the bench this season, I've got absolutely no problem with that. He does get over-criticised, but every player gets over-criticised by the Rangers support these days. It's just the way the atmosphere is around the club. I thought McCausland was really effective when he came on yesterday. I thought his link-up play was good. As you say, his finish was excellent just to cap the game off, and that's an important goal. Because it's a cup game and it's 1-0. If he doesn't score that, then St Johnstone are just going to throw bodies forward, and just try and scramble something home, as they almost did before it, I should say. So it was a really calm finish in the circumstances. And I'm perfectly happy to see more of McCausland in the team. He's got something to give us. Maybe not his first choice, it's going to play 50 games, but as a squad player off the bench, I've got absolutely no problem. That's exactly how we should use our youth players. Come and give them time off the bench, let them develop. And he's definitely contributed, Ross McCausland. He's earned his place in the squad on merit. So I've got absolutely no problem with him getting more minutes.
Yeah, definitely. Grant, Alan mentioned there the kind of atmosphere around the club. Now, at the end of the game, at the full-time whistle, the Rangers players and coaching staff went over to I think it was the Union Bears they went over to and kind of did a bit of a celebration in front of them, and that's kind of caused a bit of a stir online, shall we say, in terms of some fans thinking, it's only St Johnstone, we shouldn't be celebrating like that after a victory at quote-unquote at home against St Johnstone, and then other fans kind of trying to see the more positive side of it in terms of the manager trying to build that bit of relationship back up between the squad and the fans. But the manager said in his press conference that it was pre-planned because that group of supporters stayed behind at the end of the game during the week to kind of clap the team off. So this was their way of kind of showing a bit of appreciation, I guess, and just trying to build that relationship back up. What did you make of the whole ordeal?
I can see both sides of the coin. You're in the quarterfinals? No, it's last 16, wasn't it? At home, you should really be winning the game, maybe slightly over the top celebrations. But as Clement said, it was pre-planned. It's just basically the players and the manager want to show a bit of respect to the fans and a bit of thanks for supporting us kind of thing, because it obviously wasn't the greatest turnout yesterday. We're obviously going through a wee bit of a tough time, so I think it was just a wee bit of, to try and get a bit of rapport between the fans and the players just now, because it's not been so great. As you said, the atmosphere around the place isn't so good just now. So I can see both sides of it. Jumping up and down for 10 seconds, is it really that big a deal? It's just another thing people want to jump on the bandwagon and criticise, isn't it? But yeah, it's a non-issue for me, to be honest with you.
Yeah. And is this just another example of everything at the club being under the microscope at the minute and overanalyzed?
Yeah, it is. There's no question about that. Again, you can see when they're celebrating, they're sort of, you can, is that a wee bit cringe? But to be honest, get over it. Do you know what I mean? It doesn't matter. The Union Bears are there, they were singing. If they don't sing, the stadium will be silent. So I've got no problem with the squad going over to the fans just to show a bit of appreciation, especially if it's driven by the manager. Because you know what it's like. We've seen games in the past where they haven't gone over. If they've lost maybe, and they've just kind of scurried off the pitch. The fans go berserk. You don't have the balls to show it up. So I don't have a problem. Although we won the game, the fans going over, show a bit of appreciation, a bit of unity. I don't really have a problem with that. Again, people are going to jump on it and they're going to laugh at it. Right, fine, but who cares? It doesn't matter. As you say, everything the club does now, there's going to be naysayers. There's going to be people moaning about it. You just can't win. So I think from the club's perspective, just get on with it, do what you want to do. Fans are going to moan at certain points, and then if we're successful, they'll pretend they never moaned. It's up to them. Just get on with it, and let's not hyper-analyse absolutely everything that the players and managers do. I appreciate the irony of saying it on a podcast dedicated to hyper-analysing everything the players and the managers do, but you know what I mean. It's just one of these things. Players applauding the fans. Why would that ever be controversial? What I mean? It's just not a big deal.
It happens at every ground. You see them doing laps on and stuff like that, just clapping their fans. So it's a non-event.
No, exactly. Yeah. It's a non-event, and they're appreciating the singing section. At a ground that's not our home ground, and everything that's around the stadium issue and everything else. It doesn't matter. Who cares? Let's just get on with it.
Yeah. Alan Grant mentioned there the Hampden turnout. Now, I'm the last person to ever criticise anyone for not going to a game, given that I couldn't make the game yesterday, either having just recovered from my chest infection. But there was a noticeable decrease in numbers at the game, even from the game during the week. Is this simply due to the Hampden factor? And I believe they couldn't use the CCS either for the cup games at Hampden, and there was also talk of fans staying away in a protest at the board, and in terms of what's going on around the club. Is it both got a part to play, do you think?
I think so, yeah. I mean, Saturday night game, not a glamorous game, and it's one of these things that still, I think, was my ticket maybe 20 quid, maybe 20 quid in booking fee or something like that. So, and it's Hampden, and it's against St Johnstone, and it's a game we just expect to win, and everybody's a wee bit down on the squad at the moment. You know what I mean? So I think it's just a combination of all factors. What was the crowd, about 25,000 or something like that? I mean, it's not that bad, I don't think. Because of the way Hampden's laid out, it looks really sparse. And because of the way the squad is and everything else, everyone's just a wee bit down on it. But that's always going to happen. First round of the League Cup, especially at home, is always a wee bit of a poor attendance, I feel. I think that generally happens. Yeah. So, again, I don't think we need to overanalyse it. We expected a lower crowd, and people are going to pounce on it because of the way the atmosphere is around the club at the minute. But I don't really think it's a huge deal, to be honest. I'm sure when we get back to Ibrox, the one good thing, if you can call it a good thing, about this whole Hampden situation, that first game back at Ibrox, which hopefully will be probably the Hibs game, that first game back at Ibrox should be electric. Everybody should be delighted to get back. It should be a really good atmosphere. Hopefully we're in a decent position in the league, so we need to try and build up to that. These kind of Hampden games I find are quite torturous, to be honest. Even though I've got a padded seat and the pies are much better at Hampden, I do find Hampden experience a wee bit torturous, but we just need to get through it. We're in the situation we're in, let's just make the best of it.
Yeah, I agree. Grant, there's been a lot of talk in recent weeks around people being unhappy with the board and running of the club, and obviously there's been various issues in terms of the Ibrox issue. People perceive lack of investment in the transfer market, and things like that. Is the anger and upset at the board justified, and what do they need to do to win back the trust of supporters? Is it as simple as let's just win football matches and everything will be fine again?
Is it justified? Yes, in my eyes. It just seems that it's one disaster after another, and it just seems like a circus at times. You're waking up in the morning, you're looking at a paper, and you think, "Here we go again." It's just like, why? Why? They just seem to be incapable of handling Eden. And the Ibrox renovation was a shambles. We've got this elite court case now that we're going to have to settle. It just seems one thing after another, and yeah, it probably is highlighted a lot more because we're not winning in the park. If we're winning in the park, then these things don't really seem to raise their head as much. But it's a combination of all the things that are happening, and John Bennett's lack of communication. That's probably one of the main things. Lack of communication. John Bennett hasn't really said that. He came out with his wee statement last month about Ibrox and stuff like that. But a 10-minute interview is not good enough. He should be out. They've actually sent out Clement to tell us more than they've been, the things that they should be telling us about the squad and money situation and stuff like that. They've rolled him out, and it's a bit unfair. They should be taking the heat off him a wee bit as well. So yeah, I think it is justified. Hopefully now we're going to be looking at other people to get in the footballing department, people with day-to-day running the club, and hopefully the circus will end. Brian?
Yeah, here's hoping. Alan Grant mentioned there, hopefully getting, new people in the football department. There's been rumours the last few days of a new CEO being imminent, the name being kind of mentioned as Jim Gillespie, current vice chairman of St Mirren. I'll be honest, I don't know much about him personally, but would at least be a step in the right direction to get this vacancy filled?
Well, we definitely need the vacancy filled. We can't operate for months on end with no CEO who's got overall responsibility and oversight of the operations of the club. So we need to get the vacancy filled and quickly. Of course, you need to balance that with the correct process and make sure you get the best possible candidate in. But I don't know anything about Jim Gillespie. I don't really know about what he's done at St Mirren. Maybe he's a wee bit under the radar. Maybe that's a good thing. Coming to Rangers, if you're sort of more of a kind of background operator that can just sort things out. We know apparently he's a big Rangers fan and he's known to the board. Again, you're out casting the net wide for a new CEO, and it turns out, it's actually the guy I know who works down in Paisley. I mean, it does seem a wee bit convenient. But we need, if he's going to come in, then let's get him in, let's give him support, and let's see how good he is. And hopefully he surprises us all. He can be a really effective operator and sort of drag the club to where it needs to be. Because, James Bisgrove did a few positive things. I think he rubbed quite a lot of people up the wrong way. But ultimately his background was marketing. That's what he was. He was the commercial guy. And I think that showed in the way he operated as a CEO. Whereas if Jim Gillespie's coming in, he's got experience as a CEO in a previous charity and then vice chairman at St Mirren. So hopefully he knows what the role entails and can come in and perform effectively. But if he's going to come in, fine, that's the board's choice. Let's get behind him, support him, and give him the chance to deliver. Because if you're judging him on day one, that's just not fair. And that's what the Rangers support tend to do. So let's get him in and give him a chance.
Yeah, just on that, Brian, as well, he's got football experience. That's been a problem with guys we've had before. There's nobody with football experience, actual football men. They all seem to be businessmen or, marketing guys, as Alan said. So hopefully this guy's got a bit of experience from being around St Mirren, and hopefully he'll be able to take us forward.
Yeah, hopefully, Grant, whoever the incoming CEO is, if it's Jim Gillespie or Ian Other, what are some of the key things they need to do to get things moving in a more positive direction off the field? They obviously can't control a lot of what happens on the field, but in terms of the off the field matters, what are some of the things they need to do to get things moving?
I think communication with the fans. We've got this the fan board as well. There's no communication. Doesn't seem to be any communication with fans. The problems going up, getting filtering up. There just doesn't seem to be any communication at all. So that would be the main thing for me. Hopefully somebody there to see the day-to-day overrunning of the club, because again we've not had that since James Bisgrove left. So there's loads of things need sorted out. We just need to stop being in the papers for the wrong reasons. That's what I would like to see. Stop being in the papers for the wrong reasons and communicate to the fans what's happening, and stop all this cloak and dagger stuff and the stuff that was happening with the stadium and stuff like that. She came out and told us and a lot earlier than they did. So hopefully communication, and communication's the main one for me.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, before we finish up, Alan, we'll just touch on the next round of the cup. We've drawn Dundee at quote unquote home, i.e. it'll likely be at Hampden. Difficult game, but should be a winnable tie.
Yeah, definitely. It's the cup. It's just about getting through. That's where we need to be. Dundee are actually in decent form at the minute. I know the game's a month or so away, but they're on good form. So it won't be an easy game. Almost certainly going to be at Hampden. So tougher than we might have liked it. I'd have liked Spartans at home. Just always want the easiest tie. Hopefully, no disrespect to any Spartans fans tuning in. But you always want the easiest tie. But you would take Dundee at home in the cup to progress. And then after that, let's see where we get to if we can get through it. But who knows what shape the squad will be in by then. We've got a big few weeks coming up that we need to get through while the transfer window is still open. So all eyes on Ross County next Saturday.
Yep, definitely. Right, I think we'll call it time there. All that's left for me to do is thank my guests. Alan, thanks as always. Hope that was an enjoyable debut for you.
Yeah, very much enjoyed it. Thanks for having me, guys.
No worries. Grant, thanks for joining.
Yeah, enjoyed it, mate. Thank you.
No worries. As well as being live tonight, the show will be available on all podcasting platforms: iTunes, Spotify, Acast, Stitcher. We'll be back on Friday evening to look ahead to the Ross County match at Hampden. Until next time, bye for now.